Satya Dhamma Reflection on June 23, 2022. Continue to make a conclusion as giving, so that it will purify the conclusion that is taking into oneself, because that is not a true conclusion. Let's conclude as giving, ending as giving, proceeding without flaw as giving. The ending for the sake of ending, for the sake of oneself, is not a true ending. Everything is used to be as giving, not for taking in. Use the conclusion, the ending as giving. Disregard from the disregard itself is to be as giving. To be giving the ending. It is not the extinction for the sake of oneself. To take into oneself is not true ending. Disregard from the disregard itself simultaneously. No is not no itself. This is proceeding without flaw as giving, ending as giving. This is not for taking into oneself. Everything is not to be taken into oneself. The anatta is not grasping for oneself. Anicca doesn't grasp itself. Form and formlessness is not to take into oneself. All things are not to be taken into themselves. All the delusion to take in is a delusion, child. So the ending is to end the delusion, help end the delusion for one another. Disregard even from the disregard itself simultaneously, child. This is helping through ending, through extinction, through ceasing. It is to help. This is not about circling. It's not considered as samsara. It's not considered as samsara of practicing. All the practicing of all the bodhisattvas is to help end, to help ceasing, to help end without flaw. Nirodha, Nibbana as helping. This is the duty of the bodhisattvas. The arahants as well, they have the duty to use Nirodha and Nibbana as helping. Everything is not to be taken into oneself. The vipassana of all bodhisattvas is to help end for samsara. Ending as helping, helping through ending for one another. This is not the practice for the sake of itself. This is not about accumulation of the perfection. This is not about attaining or grasping for the perfection. It is only to share the essence of ending as helping. This is the conclusion of all the bodhisattvas. Beware of it. No is not no itself simultaneously, child. Help without flaw. Ending as helping, ceasing as helping. This is not about arising or ceasing. No is not no itself. It's not about something that is arising or ceasing, attaching or detaching, liberating or not. It's not considered as anything. No is not no itself. It's not considered as anything. Neither is about liberating or not, passing or not. Is not considered as anything at all. Disregard from the disregard itself is the true helping for the samsara. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself is not considered as anything. No is not even no itself. is not considered as anything. Well, to make a conclusion, everything is about giving. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, is to be as giving, ending as giving. Helping through Nirodha and Nibbana. This is not about the obsession to use the mind towards all things on and on. No is not even no itself to be shared all the same to everything. This is without flaw as helping, ending as helping. It will be by the essence of Nirodha and Nibbana as helping samsara. Everything is not about taking. The anicca has never taken to itself. It's anicca at all times. The anatta has never taken into itself. The suffering has never taken into itself. It's at all times as such. That which is bygone in itself, by its nature, at all times. Therefore, don't be wrong to the Satya Dhamma. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, all the same to everything. No grasping, even for the non-grasping itself, simultaneously. For all and everything, this will give ending for helping samsara. Disregard from the disregard itself, no grasping even from the non-grasping itself, simultaneously. This will be the anupap of simultaneous purification of the emptiness and the extinction. This is the duty of all the bodhisattvas. Form, conditions and attributes never ever grasp itself, is bygone in its nature at all times, shifting and changing within itself at all times at its nature. Therefore, don't be wrong to the Satya Dhamma, to the truth. All the set up to grasp, to practice for attainment. This is the overlaying of the delusion on top of the states of mind, on top of states of Dhamma. This is the delusion to grasp is wrong to the Satya Dhamma. It turns into the suffering, difficulties, circling and circling in such a way. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. No grasping, even from the non-grasping itself. This is the purification through the brightness without limits. Continue as such. The disregard doesn't grasp itself, child. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. Conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana, through the flawlessness. Continue to help through the flawlessness for samsara. Don't be obsessed with giving significance and meanings and involvement. Disregard all the same. Don't be obsessed to soar up through the knowing and seeing. Don't focus through the mind on and on. Don't use the mind to focus and projecting on and on. Purify through the extinction onwards. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. rush, more of the disregard from itself. Don't use your desire to rush. Proceed on beyond sitting, standing, lying down. Disregard, completely disregard from itself, simultaneously with the opening of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Continue to use the disregard from itself as a conclusion for samsara. Help through ending for samsara onwards. Use disregard, even from the disregard itself, to help end for samsara onwards. Use the disregard, even from the disregard itself, to continue to purify through the extinction for samsara. Disregard completely. Disregard from the disregard itself, absolutely. Because there are a lot of projecting minds. The soaring mind is a lot. So disregard from itself completely. This will purify the desire, the samudaya that is soaring forward, projecting forward of the mind. Being obsessed with just soaring and projecting. No is not no itself. Instead, this will purify the samudaya for samsara continuously. This will help end the samudaya for samsara continuously, ceasing the samudaya continuously as helping samsara. That which has nothing to do with the body or the mind, and all things in its nature is not related even to itself. Use it to help end for samsara continuously. Towards the physical world, towards the Mahabharami, towards Buddhas, towards the Satyadharma, towards the Buddha seed, or the distortion, even one word from Nirodha Nibbana is karma overlaying Dhamma, practicing Dhamma. This is called hurting and harming the Satyadharma. Even a tiny bit, which is distorting from the word of the Buddha, but claiming that it is from the Buddhas. When saying it is wrong to the Satyadharma, but claiming that it is Satyadharma, the truth of Nirodha and Nibbana is by the essence of disregard from the disregard itself, uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. This is the truth of Nirodha and Nibbana, the pure essence, no other implications at all, that much. If it's a lot, then it's distorting. The extinction even not itself. Disregard is not itself. Uninvolved is not the uninvolved itself. No is not no itself. This is aligned with the truth of Nirodha and Nibbana, ending simultaneously for the internal and the external. Everywhere is for blessing. We have passed through many Buddhas We have to enable to conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana for samsara already. Ending as helping for samsara through Nirodha and Nibbana. Don't fabricate anything, integrate anything all by oneself in this way or that way to be deluded all by oneself. Dharma like this, practicing like that, this is the delusion to integrate and fabricate Dharma. This is without conclusion of Nirodha and Nibbana for samsara. For all the Bodhisattvas, it has to be directly help ending, giving ending for samsara only, no other ways. This is not about deludedly practicing perfection on and on. This is grasping for that which is not about grasping. This is going to be continue with the desire to grasp on and on. It will be wasting time to purify again, to purify the delusion to grasp again. It's a waste of time. The barami of perfection is anicca and anatta in itself, is dukkha in itself. It's not about grasping for it. Is there anything as anatta grasping for anatta, anicca grasping for anicca? That doesn't exist. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. Well with it. Disregard even from the disregard itself. It means that no grasping even from the non-grasping itself. Well with it. Ending as helping through ending for samsara. That is the kamasthana of all blessers, of all those so-called bodhisattvas. Vipassana is to help end for all beings. Kamasthana of all the bodhisattvas is the ending and purifying through the extinction for samsara. This is not to meditate kamasthana, meditating or vipassana, meditating in whatever ways. That is the karma overlaying dhamma, samudaya overlaying dhamma. This will turn into samudaya, overlaying being bodhisattvas, always practicing something else on and on. It's become karma and samudaya of the bodhisattvas instead. So many Buddhas we have passed through. We have to enable to help end for samsara already. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. No is not no itself. Don't be obsessed to yes and no, to like or dislike, on and on. Don't be obsessed to grasp or not grasping. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. No fixated to the non-fixation itself. Don't be obsessed to the non-fixation or fixation. No fixation to the non-fixation itself. Not attached to the non-attachment itself. Don't be obsessed to be attached or detached or non-attached, on and on. Use the disregard from the disregard itself to help end for samsara onwards. There is not much here. Use that which has nothing to do with anything, uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, to help end for samsara continuously. This will be the continuation of helping through unwinding and releasing, liberating of suffering onwards as such.